Majesties, royalties, laureates. Now it's time for the prize in literature. Polish literature shines on Europe. Several Nobel Prizes and now a bard of global stature and rare breadth, poetic and humorous. Poland, Europe's crossroads, perhaps its heart. Its history exposes to Olga Tokarczuk, a victim ravaged by great powers, but with its own history of colonialism and anti-Semitism. She does not retreat from unpalatable truth, even under threat of death. Her fusion of intensive embodiment and ephemeral unreality, intimate observation and mythological obsession make her one of our time's most original prose writers, with new ways of viewing reality.
Till en av samtidens mest originella prosaister med nya sätt att betrakta verkligheten.
She is a virtuoso of instant portraiture, capturing characters in the act of escaping daily life. She writes of what no one else does, the world's excruciating strangeness. Flights is a wonderfully varied description of passage through transit halls and hotels. Meetings with figures we know so little of. And a shower of items from dictionaries, fairy tales and documents. She circles the poles of nature, culture, reason, madness.
Hon cirklar kring polerna natur, kultur, förnuft, vansinne,
male, female, and scoots like a sprinter across socially and culturally fabricated borders. Her prose, drastic, rich in ideas, is a nomadic movement throughout her 15 or so books. Her villages are centers of the universe, that plays a protagonist, its singular destinies woven into a fresco of fable and myth. We live and die in the stories of others, where Katyn, for example, is at once a forest, at once a massacre. My writing is a translation of images to words. From these images arise apocalyptic histories and mundane episodes and form her magnum opus, the Books of Jacob, into a picaresque novel and a vibrant panorama of the period around 1752. It's history of ideas and religious history. It is the compulsions of the time and metaphysics, superstition and madness. It's salons and prayer meetings and people so alive and up-closet that Tokarczuk might just have met them on the street. She lavishes on interiors of country manors, monasteries and Jewish homes, with dresses, gardening, menus. Not least, she turns anonymous women into individuals, giving a voice to many else disappeared without trace. It is author Per Wästberg of the Swedish Academy speaking. The sect leader, Jacob Frank, is a charismatic mystic, manipulator and swindler, a rebel-provoking god. He questions current order, especially the submission of women. With his adherents, the Frankists, he wants to bring about a new world. This was also the Nazis' rationale for obliterating Poland. Utopias are siren calls replacing our historical memory. But we never meet the Messiah, only forgers and frauds. Glimpses in subtext are Tokarczuk's Jewish heritage, and her hope for a Europe without borders for knowledge. In 18th century Poland, she sees parallels with the later eras Nazism and Stalinism, even with current right-wing populists who, in her words, speak of a country's past like in a boy's book about heroes and traitors. But, she says, there is no history, only people's lives. The books of Jacob is an extraordinary tale. The great questions of evil, God, and the future are stitched together in a prosaic portrayal in which Tokarczuk, using her sensual imagination, ponders a coffee grinder and makes of it a time grinder, reality's own axis. Generations to come will return to Olga Tokarczuk's 1,000-page miracle to discover a richness we barely discern today. I see Alfred Nobel nodding in friendly approval from his heaven.
Pani Tokarczuk, Academia Sueca gratuluję wam. Proszę odebranie literackiej nagrody Nobla från Jego Królewskiej Mości. Króla Szwecji.
In Polish, we heard Mrs. Tokarczuk, the Swedish Academy congratulates you. Please receive your Nobel Prize from the hand of His Majesty the King. And this is the Literature Prize of 2018. Since last year, there were no literature prizes being awarded at all. So we're catching up now with Olga Tokarczuk. Time walking back to 2019 Prize of Literature. We will hear the presentation speech by Professor Anders Olsson to 2019's laureate Peter Handke.